everybody. Welcome back to the CCSN podcast. I'm Chris here with Chase. Chase, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Well, let's just get it out of the way. Thursday night football yesterday, back-to-back terrible Thursday night games. And after watching that Colts-Broncos game, I didn't know that a game could top it. But this game definitely topped it. We had the Bears versus the Commanders. And really all I have to say about this game is Carson Wentz had 99 yards. And that was basically as exciting as the game was. I mean, Justin Fields, I don't know what's up with this guy. I mean, he does not look like a franchise quarterback. These offensive lines were kind of battling to become the worst offensive line in football. So it was just a battle of garbage, in my opinion. I mean, what did you like from this game? Did you like anything from this game? I didn't like a lot of things from this game, though, but get takes.
I liked that it confirmed my previous takes. It was a terrible game, but it confirmed my previous takes that the Bears have absolutely failed Justin Fields in every imaginable way. Yeah, you're saying Justin Fields doesn't look like a franchise quarterback? I don't know, man. I'm out there. That last drive, he did everything he needed to do to go out there and win that game. That last throw, I hear a lot of people talking about David Montgomery was open. He made the right play. He read the read exactly how he was supposed to. He made the right throw, put in the right spot. The ball was dropped on 4th and goal. So I feel like, yeah, you can get the quarterback in the building, and it's all great to have $85, $90 million in cap space and have all these picks and these assets to go and build this team. But when you have the guy in the building, you have to surround him with talent or it will not work. You are just wasting this guy's career and you're wasting your own time just fielding a terrible team. And on the NFL side of things, it's an absolute joke that this is how they're setting up their Thursday night football schedule. It's not even like just the games are they happen to be bad just for some reason. You know, they're scheduling the Bears and the Commanders on Thursday night football. They're scheduling the Colts and the Broncos, which I mean, sure, you could say the Broncos might have been like, sure, they could have been a good team, but we haven't seen the Broncos make the playoffs in a long time. Not a long time, but since Peyton Manning. So I'm not a fan of the way the NFL is doing this, and they absolutely stole $11 billion from Amazon Prime because who the fuck is watching these games? It's not many people, I can tell you that.
Yeah, it was just a dumpster fire from the beginning. I mean, just to put this in perspective, the leading bet yesterday was no touchdown scored. And it looked like that was going to happen. I mean, the first half, there was literally not a touchdown. Offense looked weak. I mean, Chicago got in the red zone the first 2 drives, couldn't make anything of it. I mean, Justin Fields had that interception, and then they got stuffed on 4th down. The reason I say these things about Justin Fields are because there was a couple of times last night when I was watching where it looked like after his first read was not there, he panicked and he went into just rushing mode. And I understand, he's a great rushing quarterback. You should use him to his ability to some standards, but there was just some things I did not like. I mean, before that play with Darnell Mooney, I mean, I do agree that he put that ball in the right position. I do agree you can talk about the David Montgomery thing, but he missed Darnell Mooney the play before, and that was a bad pass. He probably would have scored on that one. So there are just some things that Justin Fields absolutely needs to clean up. Was this his worst game of the season? No. I mean, he had more than 10 completions, so I guess that's a start. But I got to see some more before I'm really committing to this guy. Because if I'm the Bears right now and he keeps this up and I'm looking at this quarterback class, I would not be afraid to pull in Arizona.
Well, that's my issue. That's the issue entirely. The Bears they're not supporting him, and they're not going to be able to put themselves in a position where they can fairly evaluate Justin Fields. They're just going to put themselves in a position where the team's going to finish with 3 or 4 wins. They're going to look shitty. Justin Fields is going to look shitty because he's throwing to Equanimeous St. Brown, Darnell Mooney, and Cole Kmet. And they're going to be like, well, yeah, we need another quarterback. No, you need to figure out how to develop a quarterback. So it's just a terrible way to run your franchise, and we see it show up every single Sunday. Like, this is a terrible offense. It's not very well coached. It's not very well designed. It does not have the talent in it, and it's not performing that way. And for that reason, we're never going to see the development of Justin Fields in this system. And it's the NFL. You've got a short lifespan. It's your rookie deal, basically, or you're done. And Justin Fields is not getting the respect and the help from his organization to get it done in that time frame.
The Bears are still playing 80s football, it just seems like. They're all focused on defense every single year. I mean, the defense looks pretty good. It has some good some good keys to it. But as you said, I mean, you have to develop your quarterback, especially on the rookie deal, especially with a guy like Justin Fields, who you did trade up to draft. You gave up draft capital and you're not really making anything of it. So Chicago really has to look at themselves, look at that coaching staff and say, how can we fix this and how can we fix it fast? And can we fix it really?
Yeah, you could have, but you just decided, no, we're going to wait and not do any moves or not make any moves this offseason. What you could have done is gone out and overpaid a wide receiver. I mean, there were plenty of wide receivers out there, and you needed one more than anybody. You look what Jacksonville did with Christian Kirk. That is not a good contract. It's not going to look very good at the end of it, but it's helping Trevor Lawrence develop. And that at some point it's just more important than always winning each and every deal. You're trying to win football games. You're not trying to win deals. And I feel like that the Bears kind of get stuck in that. And Ryan Poles, their new GM, he's got a history of being this great GM who wins all these deals. But this is a bit of a different situation in Chicago. Chicago is not a winning franchise recently. It's been a long time since they've been able to win anything. And they have not had a quarterback. I mean, there is a very fair argument to say that Justin Fields is the best quarterback in Chicago Bears history. Not production-wise, obviously. I mean, you probably have to throw Jay Cutler as their best quarterback production-wise. But talent-wise, it's probably Justin Fields. And so when you get that guy in the building, it just pains me to see them do absolutely nothing after that. They're just sitting there and acting like they don't have it. I feel like they're running an offense with Mitch Trubisky out there still, but it's just not.
My biggest thing with the Bears is not even their offensive weapons. It's just the offensive line. I mean, the amount of hits that Justin Fields took yesterday, it looked like he got rocked like 4
Some of them are his fault.
Yeah, but there were some times where he knows how to take a hit. I will give him that. I mean, he stayed in the pocket. He made a great pass to that one touchdown pass, actually, but he is just falling on the ground too much. He is staying on the ground way too long, and the Bears got to find a way to fix this. I mean, if you're the coaching staff and he's running out of the pocket too much and putting himself in these dangerous situations, tell him not to do it anymore. Or find a way to fix this because, as we were talking about with Josh Allen last week, Josh Allen's a bigger body and obviously better right now, but how long can the body take that? And as you said with Cam Newton, we've seen what happened, and I'm not comparing Justin Fields to Cam Newton, but just injury-wise, I mean, a freak injury, a bad hit, big hit, that can be detrimental for Justin Fields.
Yeah, and then what does that Bears offense look like without Justin Fields? I mean, it's just literally maybe the worst offense in NFL history. This is like
I think it would be the worst.
I mean, I can't off the top of my head think about the worst offense in NFL history. Maybe the DeShone Kizer Browns or Cody Kessler, just a couple iterations of the Browns. But yeah, I mean, talent-wise, there are not many worse offenses in NFL history than the Bears without Justin Fields.
Yeah, so I mean, Chicago fans, I feel bad for you guys. Please fix this franchise. I mean, you're the Chicago Bears. You always get primetime games. You always get like 2 or 3 at least a year, no matter how bad you suck. Just fix it for once. Get a quarterback. It's honestly crazy how they have never, ever been able to find a franchise guy. Every other franchise, for the most part, has been able to find at least one guy. Chicago, nope, not one guy. It's actually it's pretty impressive.
It's not even like they've had the same like front office throughout their entire. Like it's not like the Packers. They've had the same system in place for the long time. I know the Packers don't have an owner. It's a bit of a different situation, but that was just the thing that I could use for that. But it's just so many different like organization. Iterations of the organization weren't able to develop a quarterback, which is just so crazy to me. I don't understand why necessarily, but it does not bode well for their future because if it hasn't happened before, I'm not very willing to bet on it happening soon. So I don't want to make this out like I'm painting Justin Fields as this perfect quarterback prospect who could be this perfect guy, but they are doing everything wrong once you get a quarterback in the organization, which kind of tells me why they haven't been able to do it before. I feel like this is just making mistakes you've already made. Yeah,
they have a lot to fix, and frankly, I don't think they're going to fix it. We'll see. The biggest thing to me with the Chicago Bears is this offseason. I mean, what are they really going to do? Do they have a plan, or are they just going into this free ball in it, I guess you could say? I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to draft offensive linemen, or are they going to use their first round picks again and go all defense like they've been doing the past couple of years? So they really have to prioritize their quarterback and their offensive line and just offense in general. Like there's two parts of the game, and Chicago really just has not been able to figure that out for the entirety of their franchise. So we'll see what happens.
They've really screwed themselves over with the first round picks too. The Khalil Mack trade, and then with the Justin, they had to trade, I think it was 2 or 3 first round picks for Justin Fields. So they're just kind of putting themselves in a position where even if they're bad, they're not able to pick that high because they're just like, yeah, we're gonna compete. I get it's not even like competing because even when they had Khalil Mack, they weren't competing. So I do not like the Bears organization. I feel like that's fairly obvious, but I don't see where they go from here. You're talking about, do they have a plan? If they do, I don't see it.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it seems like, a lot of Chicago fans are saying, we have all this money to spend. We'll tank for 1 year, blah, blah, blah. It's the same thing every single year. And I could just see Chicago doing another dumb offseason trade where they go and try to bring in this big guy that doesn't really help them out. And again, I think it's going to be on defense. And I just really have to see them care about offense before I put any faith into this team. And that's really it. That's all I got on the Chicago Bears. But flipping it over to the other team last night, we have the Commanders. And my biggest thought is Ron Rivera on the hot seat? Like, what's it going to take? I don't like him as a head coach anymore that much. I mean, there's been a lot of controversy with Washington, with Dan Snyder recently. I mean, saying NFL can't fuck with me. So there's a lot going on there. I mean, there was even a press conference last night after the game where Ron Rivera went off on the media, which didn't really make sense, though, because this was right after Ron Rivera literally called out Carson Wentz, saying the quarterback was the problem. The quarterback's the reason we're not winning games, where in reality, no. I mean, a lot of players, a lot of media are hitting him back saying, no, your defense sucks. There's a lot of other contributing factors to this, and you cannot just blame Carson Wentz for this. So I don't know. I feel like Washington is such a weird state right now, and they should look to rebuild, in my opinion, but I don't think they will.
I do think that Carson Wentz quote got taken a little bit out of context. He was more saying that Carson Wentz hasn't had the time in the organization to develop it and get familiar with the system like the other quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, and Daniel Jones in the division have been able to do. But you really can't go up there and say that. Like, that at the end of the day, you can't go up there and give a one-word answer to why your team is struggling, because that just puts too much pressure. You've got to understand the way that the media works, especially for a guy like Ron Rivera, who's been in this league for a long time, who understands that kind of stuff. This has been a very uncharacteristic few days for Ron Rivera. Like, I've never seen him go up on the podium and do that. That was not something that really is reflective of the character that Ron Rivera is. But as far as him as a head coach, I think he's definitely on the hot seat. They brought him in with a ton of talent on that defense and a lot of talent on that offense as well. I mean, the weapons on that offense are absolutely insane. I think they probably got some of the best weapons in the NFL, and that just gets overlooked. Their offensive line, it's not like bottom feeder. It's not a terrible offensive line. I like Brian Robinson as a running back. Many men love that guy. And then you've got your carousel at quarterback, which, yeah, that's not helping you, but you made the sandwich, my guy. Like, you're the reason that you have got the carousel of quarterbacks. Like, you're picking these guys. And at the end of the day, you've really got to change something. And it's been 3 different quarterbacks in 3 different years under this head coach. It's time to let him go. It's time to just move on and try and go under a different regime, because Ron Rivera, as much as I like the guy as a person, he's not really the head coach for the Commanders.
Yeah, they need to look in a different direction, definitely. I mean, if they stick with him, I feel like they're just staying in the same place and going in the wrong direction. But
yeah, I agree. I think, like, what's his record as the coach of the Commanders? Let me see this real quick. He is. Oh nope, that would be his career stats. Ron Rivera played. I did not know that. Shout out Ron Rivera.
I did not know that either.
Yeah, he went 7-9 his first year, 7-10, and now he's 2-4. And this is a team that, in a very bad division, that could be making the playoffs. They expected to be making the playoffs after drafting all those first-round picks on the defensive line. Like, they should not be this bad.
Yeah, they have to change somewhere, and if it's not Dan Schneider, they have to fix GM, head coach. They just gotta go in a different direction.
Since 2015, when Ron Rivera was the coach of that 15-1 Carolina Panthers, he has one winning season. Since 2015, he's been a head coach every single season. That is not exactly the guy that you want running your franchise. Just gotta say that.
That season and that one playoff game against the Bucks is carrying his coaching career right now.
The game that he lost.
The game that he lost. Win. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Washington is kind of just on that Cincinnati level right now, where it doesn't matter what their head coach is doing or how bad he is. They're just going to stick with him and see how long they can ride it out. Moving on though, because that game does not really deserve a lot to talk about, but I think we should do our NFL locks of the week. There are actually some really good games this week in general. We have the Bills versus the Chiefs matchup, which I am looking forward to extremely. I mean, that's a 4:25 game. I'm kind of a little surprised that's not a primetime game, if I'm being honest, but I don't want to lock this game, but I just want to ask, what are some expectations for this game? Who do you think is going to go off? Who do you think is going to, you can say who you think is going to win, but what are you looking forward to this game?
I think the Chiefs win, and I think it's kind of ridiculous that they are underdogs at home. They are underdogs for the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career, and what has changed to make that happen? What changed in Patrick Mahomes' team and with the Chiefs that have made them underdogs? Nothing. It's just some people in Vegas mostly thinking that the Bills are a better team. And I have not seen that ever from the Bills being better than the Chiefs. I mean, I see the glimpses with the Bills. I see like the potential for them to be better than the Chiefs, but the Chiefs have been the wall that nobody can get past for a long time now. I don't think that changes. And I know it's a regular season game. This game doesn't mean that much, but it's a playoff rematch between the two best quarterbacks in the NFL. Everybody's going to show up for this game. Everybody is going to treat this game like a primetime game. And on that note, I feel like this is just another example of the NFL's shitty scheduling and how they don't understand how to schedule, which is a completely different topic. But back to the Bills-Chiefs, I think that, this defense for the Bills is a little bit hurt, and Patrick Mahomes is playing out of his mind right now. The Mahomes-Kelsey connection is probably better than it's ever been right now. And who on the Bills is going to be able to stop that? Because they're too high safety look that they've been able to run with. That doesn't work as much against the Chiefs anymore because they've been seeing that all year this year and all year last year. They've kind of adjusted. They've got Juju Smith-Schuster working in the middle of the field, Travis Kelce working in the middle of the field, and then you still have MVS going deep downfield and making those big plays. And now you're getting production out of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think that this is going to be a huge offensive game, and the Chiefs walk out of here probably up 45-37, I guess.
Wow, so you definitely would take the over, I guess you're saying.
100%. 100% the over on this game.
I am really looking forward to this game. I mean, it just sucks that we got to watch that game at 4:25, and then we got to watch Broncos versus the Chargers. I mean, I guess on paper this was supposed to be a good game, but
that's the Monday night, right?
Yes.
Don't Eagles have Sunday night?
Oh, yes. Eagles have Sunday night. I was just talking about another primetime game, but the Eagles versus the Cowboys is Sunday night. I am looking forward to that game. But just real quick, back to the Broncos versus the Chargers. Do you see Russell Wilson coming back from this at all? Because I've seen mixed takes. I've seen people saying he's washed. I've seen people saying, he was hurt last game, all these different things. I don't think we'll ever see the same Russell Wilson again. The same Russell Wilson that the Broncos were supposed to get, at least. I mean, the Madden made him an 80 this week. I know we're not going off Madden ratings, but I was just like, damn. They took brutal. 5 ratings away from him, and they gave 5 to Geno Smith. I think they did that on purpose, but I found that pretty funny. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, they absolutely did that on purpose. I mean, I see the injury designation with Russell Wilson, and I don't buy that one bit. The injury is not preventing him from reading cover one and making an accurate throw on the right read. That's not what's happening there, especially a slight shoulder injury. And I don't know that we'll ever see the Russell Wilson that we've seen before and the Broncos were expecting, the guy they paid, the guy they gave up all these picks and assets for. But I don't think that Russell Wilson is going to just completely fall off a cliff. This is a guy who we've seen it all for the entirety of his career. He has the mental game completely figured out. He never changes. It's always on to the next play with him. It's always just like laser focused. he is like who he is, and he's always saying neutral. He's never too up, too down. He's never in his press conferences going off and going crazy and starting to look upset or whatever. He's always this level-headed guy. So I feel like that is such an important thing to have in a quarterback. So I feel like while he doesn't have the physical tools that he used to have, I feel like the mental processing will be able to carry him a little bit and make him not a terrible quarterback, because it's not like he's been absolutely awful. Like, he hasn't been terrible. He's been able to hit the throws outside. He's been able to extend a couple of plays here and there, but he's just not the same athlete that he used to be. So they're not going to get what they paid for. They're not going to get what they traded for. But I feel like the end of Russell Wilson's career is not going to be Johnny Manziel. He's still going to be a fairly decent quarterback, and he's going to be able to make some reads and some throws, especially outside the numbers. But the ceiling is kind of scary for me, because there's going to be nothing over the middle that he can hit. And if you can't hit any throws over the middle, you're really limiting yourself as a quarterback.
Yeah, he has just missed some throws this year where you're just like, wow, how did you not see him? Or, I mean, just for the prime example, the KJ Hamler one. But I know where you're coming from with the Russ. You know, we always say focus, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like there's a certain point, and, you know, it's still early in this season, but if this continues, I feel like he has to come out and say something. You know, it's always positive with him, like on Twitter or just whenever he tweets or anything he puts out. Even after, you know, that one press conference where he literally said Broncos country, let's ride at the end of it after they lost. I don't know. I have to see some realism from him, you know, because you could be as, you know, a leader or all you want, but it's kind of just like a social media act. It seems like sometimes it's just like so cheesy. And I feel like a lot of people in the NFL just are like, yeah. And I don't know. I don't want my quarterback doing that. If I'm being, I'd rather have a guy like Aaron Rodgers who, he'll sometimes be a little dramatic, look pissed off on the sideline, but he's letting you know the way he feels. And your leader should do that. And that's what Russell Wilson's supposed to be for this team. That's what they're paying him to do. And I don't know. That Melvin Gordon meme just kind of sums everything up to me right now for the Broncos and Russell Wilson.
I think the real issue here is the fact that, you've got Russell Wilson, and he is a corny guy. Everybody knows Russell Wilson's corny, and it works in some locker rooms, not in others. It just kind of depends. It's more when you're winning, it works. It's okay to be corny when you're winning, like nobody cares. But then when you're losing and you're already upset, and then you hear Russell Wilson say, Broncos country, let's ride. You're like, shut the fuck up. Get out of my face. So, like, I understand that, but I think that the real problem is Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett is just as corny of a guy as Russell Wilson. And I can't imagine how it must feel to be on that team and just like not have like a real person leading the team. Like, it's just the two fakest people I've ever seen in my life. Like, Nathaniel Hackett sits there. I don't know if it's that he's fake, but he's just super weird, dude. Like, he's quoting Austin Powers in his press conferences, and you're just like, I don't want this guy he's not the guy that's going to like motivate the troops. He's not the guy that's going to rally people behind him. And that's not what he was in Green Bay either. I feel like they kind of expected to get Aaron Rodgers, and they were just kind of bringing Nathaniel Hackett in because of the Green Bay ties. But in Green Bay, Nathaniel Hackett was an assistant coach put in a closet that nobody was really talking to except for when they had problems, and they could just go to him and vent. Like, that's not who you want as a head coach. And then you couple that with Russell Wilson and his personality, that is not a good dynamic there. However, I think they're not going to win a lot of games this year. But Russell Wilson, he's still got that level-headedness about him. So I think you can probably move on from Hackett, kind of just cut your ties early and see if you can get this to work under a different regime, because there's a lot of talent on this Broncos team. There were people like shooing them in as Super Bowl contenders before this. They didn't just go from being one of the most talented rosters in the NFL to being one of the least talented rosters in the NFL with the same guys. No, it just hasn't been working because of the personalities and the way that personalities mesh. So it's just going to be a lot of turnover in the organization, I think, this offseason. But it's not completely over for the Broncos. Well, this season is, but not for the future.
With Nathaniel Hackett, as we talked about, he's literally just Toby from The Office. I mean, it's like that one episode roster, and he goes and rants, and then, you know, Michael takes the box out, does all that stuff. Nathaniel Hackett has to go. Like, it's real. It's real. I mean, imagine being KJ Hamler after that play, after, you know, he threw his helmet down, obvious frustration. Imagine what was said to him. Like, Nathaniel Hackett probably came up to him and was like, oh, well, we'll get him next time, you know. And like KJ Hamler probably wanted to smack the shit out of him, and I probably would have too. And as you said, you need a leader. You need somebody who's going to tell you the truth, and I don't think they have that right now. So you, with a guy like Russell Wilson, you're gonna have to go get your Pete Carroll. If we're being quite honest here, you need a guy who's going to be the leader if it's not going to be the quarterback. So anyway, I think it's time for locks. I don't know if you have anything else we put on for this week for the NFL.
I'm all ready.
So my first one, I'm gonna go Browns over Patriots this week. Actually, I'm gonna go
I was thinking about locking that the other way.
I don't know. I like the Browns this week. I'm feeling it at home. I feel like they need this one, and I like Jacoby Brissett, to be honest. I'm a Brissetter. We got the Bucks versus the Steelers. I'm going Bucks over Steelers by a mile. But that might come back to bite me in the ass like last week when I said Packers over Giants by a mile. But if that one comes back, I'm done. I'm going to take the Rams over the Panthers. First week with the new head coach. Baker Mayfield's not even playing, which might help them out in the long run, but taking the Rams. 49ers over the Falcons. I think that defense is going to destroy them. And my last one, I'll do three. That's my three this week. You go ahead.
Fair. I want to get back a little step here on the Panthers Rams. I think that first week with the new head coach against a very disappointing Rams team. You said no Baker this week. I don't know. I feel like they might be able to squeeze that one out. I'm not going to put that in my locks because that scares me a little bit. But it's always something with that first game head coach, the interim. They always seem to win that game. But I'm going to lock the Packers over the Jets. I feel like the Packers need this one a lot more than the Jets. It's in Lambeau. Zach Wilson's going to have a tough time. I'm going to go with the Bucks over the Steelers. Pretty much same exact reasoning you had there. It's Kenny Pickett. Until I see anything from him, I'm going to be locking against him every single week. 49ers, Falcons, I'm going with the Niners. And those are three there. I feel like I want one more. I am going to go with the Ravens over the Giants.
I like that. We'll see if the Giants, this is my one thing about the Giants. They can have a convincing win this week. I don't know. I might have to start believing in them a little bit more.
They haven't had any convincing wins, though. Like, all of their wins have been very and last week was all right, but it's a London game at 9 a.m, and it felt like they did not have control over that game until the very end. Like, the very end of that game, you're like, oh, shit, the Giants are winning this game? What happened?
They came back. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like
it was
20.
It was 21-7 in the first half. Like, I don't think that they were that impressive. It felt like the Packers kind of took their foot off the gas. And I'm not impressed with the Giants. Maybe it's a little bit of bias because I'm a Philly fan. Giants, there's the rivalry there. But I just have not been impressed with anything so far. I mean, Brian Dable, he's been very surprising. He's outperformed my expectations. I expected them not to be able to run the ball as well as they have, but they've been able to. Their line has been very technically sound. They've been able to work to the second level, and they're chippy. Like, they're always out there making the extra play, putting their body on the line, and that works for a while. That works when you're the underdog and you're playing teams that are kind of on your level. But once you start getting to the level where the Ravens and where I feel like it's more the Chiefs. I don't really put the Ravens up there yet. The Chiefs, the Bills, guys like that. But the Ravens are kind of in that conversation. They're just more technically sound and they've got more talent. So I feel like it's just going to be a fairly easy win that the Giants aren't going to be able to overcome with their coaching. But Brian Dable has been surprising for me so far.
Yeah, definitely very surprising. I remember when I saw that win total of the over-under, I was slamming the under. I think it was 7 to start the season. But we'll still see. We got a long way to go. Anyway, moving on, MLB playoffs now. I just want to start it off with the Seattle Mariners versus the Houston Astros. Seattle blew any chance they had of winning this series after game 1. First of all, I just want to put it out here. Why in God's name are you putting in Robbie Ray to close a game in the playoffs against Yordan Alvarez? Robbie Ray's signature pitch is a fastball, which has not been working for him this year. And what is Yordan Alvarez crush? Fastballs right down the middle. And what happened? I mean, Yordan Alvarez is literally having one of the best postseason runs I've seen for a while. I mean, yes, it's only been 2 games, but The man's hitting 500. He has 2 go-ahead home runs after the 7th inning, which I think there's only 13 of them ever, and he has 2 of them right now. So he has started off on a tear. Another guy on that team who I love right now, Alex Bregman. Give my man his flowers. I mean, I'm so over the whole trash can Astros thing, blah, blah, blah. This team is so good. Like, there's no way around it. Just they got around Justin Verlander's bad start, playoff Justin Verlander, all these things. So it's time to give the Astros their flowers. The Mariners yesterday, Luis Castillo pitched a hell of a game, but he got Yordan Alvarez. For everyone saying that Castillo's not worth the contract, wasn't worth, all the compensation they gave up, you obviously did not watch this game. The dude pitched phenomenally. He made one bad pitch, and it changed the entirety of the game. So it's cool that Seattle's going back, being able to play in front of their home crowd for the first time in 21 years in the playoffs. But I think Houston closes this one out rather soon.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on that. But I'm feeling very, very good about my Yordan Alvarez is on the same level as Aaron Judge take, because I don't think that's very far off. I know Aaron Judge just had this monster season, but so did Alvarez. Alvarez had a 1,000 OPS. He just missed a little bit of time. And he's, 25 years old? We're going to see, this is maybe our next superstar in the MLB. Like, this is going to be the guy for a long time, I think. And, who closer to Barry Bonds right now than Yordan Alvarez? I mean, they kind of fit.
If you put Yordan in Yankee Stadium, I think we see relatively the same thing as Aaron Judge. I'm not saying, I'm not because I think Aaron Judge runs away with MVP this year. Obviously, I mean, I'm a big Judge guy, but he had 100 more at bats than Yordan this year, and Yordan put up a very good stat line, as you said. Not taking anything away from Aaron Judge, obviously, but I'm excited to see what Yordan's going to be doing when he's 30 years old, 31 years old. I mean, is he going to still be hitting these moon shots, which obviously I think he is. And the Astros made the right move locking this guy up. I think they gave him 7 years, if I'm not wrong. They did that this year. They have him until he's 32. I mean, that's a great contract. And I think once you get past the 30 mark, it makes it easier to re-sign your franchise guys, I guess you could say. And especially in baseball, with the DH, Yordan will be 32. There's still going to be a lot of value for him. And I think he has the makings for Astro life. I think he's right in the Altuve Bregman wheelhouse.
The only issue with him, and I'll get back to the Robbie Wright in a bit, but first I wanted to talk about the fact that his knees he's got knee issues. He's got old man knees, and that's not something you really want to see. But if you can just keep him in the DH, just don't make him feel, just keep him in the DH and let him hit those moon shots. I think that we can, assuming he stays healthy, see one of the best hitters in the modern day. And back to the Robbie Wright thing, he has 1,000 OPS against lefties this season. He hits better against lefties than he does against right-handed pitching. So I understand the whole, we want to bring in a lefty, and Robbie Wright, he's our best lefty. One Cy Young, like, this is our guy to bring in. But to bring him in the first batter he faces, be the game-winning run in Yordan Alvarez at the plate, it's not really the best idea. And I know you said, his best pitch is his fastball, and it was a sinker that he ended up getting demolished on. But still, that is just something that you've got to look at. You've got to know Yordan Alvarez hits 450 against fucking fastballs. Like, if you throw this guy a fastball, it's going 450 feet. Like, it's just not happening. And
Robbie Ray just hasn't been good this year either.
He's had his moments where he's been bad, but I still see it with Robbie.
Robbie Ray's also pitching not like a $25 million per year pitcher. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I mean, they paid this guy to be their ace, and they literally had to go out mid-season and go get an actual ace. So I don't know. That was just an awful move, and it blew them this year. That didn't blow them this series, but I feel like Seattle kind of would. As we say a lot, they took their foot off the gas pedal. I mean, after they took that lead against Houston, and if there's one team in this league that you have to stay locked in on the whole game, it is Houston. They bring it to you on every level: pitching, hitting, fielding. I mean, they have everything. And the best thing about this whole series so far was Carlos Carrasco. Not Carlos Carrasco. What's his name? Carlos Correa, interviewing
Yeah,
Pena,
Pena.
and that was just great. And I'm actually, I mean, I'm not going to dive into this topic, but I'm very, very excited to see the shortstop market this offseason. I mean, last year was supposed to be this great shortstop market, and it kind of just ended up being the Texas Rangers paying $600 million for two players, and Carlos just going to Minnesota for a year and taking a year off, getting $35 million. But we'll see what happens. I'm really excited. We got Swanson, Trey Turner, Correa. It's going to be a hell of an offseason.
I think
And that's
Turner is going to get a huge amount of money, just like an amount of money that nobody is expecting, like close to $400 million for 10 years. I think that he's going to get paid, but I think that it kind of starts to tick down from there. I think it goes, Turner gets paid from whatever stupid team is out there, and it's like, yeah, huge name, future potential Hall of Famer, going to pay him every cent in our checkbook. And then you're going to have Correa, who's probably going to get around $27-30 million per year. And that's going to be a good deal. I think that he's going to be the premium name on the market. And then I think Swanson is going to get like next to nothing compared to those guys. And it's going to be a steal because Swanson is on the level of them. He's playing just as well as any of them. But for whatever reason, he doesn't have the same pull. He doesn't have the same like market value as these other guys. So I feel like he'll probably be the steal. Trey Turner will be the overpaid guy, and Carlos Correa will probably be the value signing.
Yeah, if I'm talking about, the value and how much money I'm giving these guys, I am going after Dansby Swanson so hard if I'm a GM. I mean, the dude has been a top 3 defensive shortstop for as long as I can remember. He finally figured out how to actually hit the ball. And when he figured it out, he's hitting it pretty damn well. And the thing with Carlos that I found very interesting is he had a pretty damn good year this year. People just act like he didn't. He had an over a 5.5 WAR, if I'm not wrong.
Yep.
I had a better WAR than Trey Turner this year, actually, and I love Trey Turner. But they all bring different things to the table, which is really interesting. Like Trey Turner is probably the definition of ideal leadoff guy. Like he can do everything. He gets on first base, he's going to steal second base, or he can hit a home run. He can hit 30 home runs in most ballparks. And you got a guy like Correa who, if I'm taking any of these 3 in the postseason, I want Correa on my team. I mean, this dude's just a postseason monster. He's built for the moment. And, Correa just has, I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but he needs to be in a big, big market. And I mean, like, he seems just like a villain. He plays the role so well. And teams need that. And there's multiple big, I mean, I could see the Mets, if I'm being honest. I know they have Lindor, but I feel like there's some way they could figure it out. I mean, he could play third base probably. I don't know if he'd want to, but it kind of be like the A-Rod Jeter situation where one of them would have to say, I'll make the switch to third base. And I could just see Steve Cohen saying, okay. But, I would hate that. And that would just make me hate the Mets even more. And I would be saying Correa is not in the top 5 shortstop right now if he's on the New York Mets. But, so they all bring different things to the table, which is very interesting. And I'm really excited to see what happens with them going into this offseason. But we have to finish the postseason first, obviously. And today at 1 o'clock, actually, because yesterday got postponed, we have Nestor Cortez versus Justin Bieber. I'm kidding, Shane Bieber. But it's going to be a very, very good matchup, I think. And this is a must-win game for Cleveland. I mean, can this offense produce against Nestor? Nestor's been one of the best stories in baseball this year, and Shane Bieber's kind of had a quiet bounce-back season from last year. A lot of people kind of wrote him off, and it's just kind of like it's Cleveland baseball. People kind of watch them in the postseason, and you realize how good these pitchers are or how fundamental they play, and we'll see. But I think if Cortez takes this game, and New York takes this game tonight, I think they win. I think they go in Cleveland. I think they win in 3, if I'm being completely honest, because that's what they need to do. I mean, if Cleveland wins this game, it's a totally different series. I mean, obviously, but Yankees bullpen shot, and if you can't win with Nestor Cortez and you have to rely on Severino, who's been good recently, but I don't know how much I trust him. And then in a game 4, game 5. Who are you putting on that mound if you're the New York Yankees right now? I mean, they have a lot of that's the thing. There's a lot of people saying they want to put Tyone in there and just what do you do? So I mean, this is a must win. These series are great. The 5 game series because you were going in this and every game seems like a must win, but
Hmm.
it's going to be a very good game today. But I think
Both games today are must wins for both teams.
Yeah, really, really. So I think Shane Bieber takes this one. If I'm being honest, I think
agree.
he dominates today. I think he dominates, and as I said, Cleveland just plays fundamental baseball, and I think that's how they're going to win this game. But we'll see. I love Nestor, and I'm rooting for both pitchers. I guess you could say because I love both of them.
I feel like this is going to be a fairly low scoring game, and you're gonna. I feel like Nestor is more prone to make a mistake than Shane Bieber is, and
Exactly.
especially in this big of a scenario and this big of a setting, I think it's going to be a close game. This is not going to be a game that's like decided very early. I think it'll probably. I could see it being 0-0 going into the 6th inning, but
I think Nestor doesn't pitch more than 6 innings, though. I think he pitches 5.
That I was thinking he goes into the 6th and loses it in the 6th is where I'm at right now. But around 6, maybe the 5th inning he loses it. But I feel like he's just not going to be able to keep up with Bieber. And I love Nestor Cortez. He's a great player, but there's just so much you can do. He's not really that ace level player that Bieber is, and I feel like that's the pitching is going to be what wins them the game today. And even if we get into a game where it's 0-0 out of the 6, both of them get out of there, then you got to go to the bullpen. And as you were saying, the Yankees bullpen's shot. And Guardians, they've got a really, really good bullpen. Like, very underrated, in my opinion.
Every pitcher on their team is good. Like, it just seems like they just know their role. And that's what Cleveland's been living and dying for. So, I think it's going to come down to that. And it just who can last longer in the ring. So, moving to the West Coast, we have the San Diego versus LA game. And Yu Darvish versus Kershaw, on paper, this was supposed to be, God versus God, 36-year-old versus 37-year-old legend. And it was just a battle of mid, like literally. They both kind of pitched all right. Not really good starts. I think they both went like 5 2/3. They had
Darvish got
stat
screwed.
line, kinda.
Darvish got screwed by the ump.
There was a couple calls, yeah. The Muncy home run.
The Muncy home run should never have happened, and that really threw him off his game because that was a strikeout. And I mean, I think Darvish played a very good game. It was enough to get them out of there with the win, and it sucks. I'm a Darvish guy. I really like you, Darvish, and I feel like his playoff legacy kind of holds him back a little bit, especially because with the Dodgers. But he got his revenge a little bit. It would have been a little bit nicer to see 2 runs instead of 3. That home run was really bullshit, to be honest. But hey, he did his job. I love you, Darvish. The spin rate was off the chart. He was pitching very well, just going up against an incredible lineup, really. This Dodgers team is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane.
I mean, that's why I love the playoffs just in all sports, because there's always like that one guy who I'm about to talk about, Profar, this postseason. He has 6 RBIs already.
Yeah.
I mean, he had that one horrible swing on Clayton Kershaw where the ball literally touched the dirt like midway too, but
that's got to be my favorite MLB meme of all time, dude.
He was
that
feeling
picture
himself.
Is incredible.
Oh, it was. I feel like I've seen that like multiple times with Clayton Kershaw though. Like it's kind of funny. Like I feel like a lot of guys go up there and just like fuck it. Like maybe I'll get a curveball, but
Well, Yelich explained it perfectly. You're always sitting on the inside high fastball from Kershaw because that's what he goes with all the time. It's just inside high, inside high, inside high. So when you're sitting there at the plate, you're starting to like, yeah, he's throwing 4 inside highs in a row. I'm going back to it. I'm gonna beat this ball to the spot, and then it's a fucking curve coming in at 60 miles an hour, and you're just 10 feet out in front of it. So there's not much you can do. I understand the thought process there behind Profar, but it was so funny to watch.
Oh, it was hilarious. I mean, this was a great game though. And I've been saying it since I was probably 7 years old, 8 years old, but I just love Manny Machado, man. I mean, the dude is just he's on that Correa level, but he's locked into this team. And
I think he's much better than Correa.
No, I'm just saying on like the villain arc. Like he loves the villain, like just to be the villain. And he's a guy you love to have on your team, but you hate to play against him. This was his second postseason home run against Kershaw, and it was a rocket. Manny Machado just has that swing. Like, I love this guy. And I don't know if you saw that one meme or like the meme of Manny Machado, but he was he was sitting in the dugout, and I forget what the actual play was, but he just looks at the crowd or looks at the field and he goes, and like it was just kind of like that one meme with the guy from The Hangover. I forget his name right now, but it was just really funny. But anyway, they needed to win this game. I mean, the Crone Zone came through San Diego, going back home tied, and they got Joe Musgrove on the mound. Jake Peavy's throwing out the first pitch in San Diego. Who Musgrove, was his idol growing up, San Diego guy. So it's hard to pick against the Dodgers, but man, if there's one game I'm gonna pick against them, I think Joe Musgrove is going to dominate this lineup. I think this is his game. I love postseason pitching. It really makes legends. I'm not trying to sound cheesy or anything, but it really does.
It makes and breaks careers. It's incredible, especially because like it's such a small sample size, and like a reliever could come in and one inning could shoot him up to a 27 WAR. A 27 ERA. So yeah, that's just kind of the beauty of the postseason, and like the best. I mean, back to Darvish, he's like the best iteration of that, like the embodiment of it. He's a great player. He's been an incredible player his entire career, but just a few postseason mishaps, and you're taking down notches, like full notches for most fans. So yeah, I love it. It makes baseball so much more fun.
With Darvish too, it's literally just like, he's had his like other struggles, but like the one that everyone just will always remember was the Game 7 start of the World Series where he just was horrible. And like that's just like how you remember Yu Darvish when, Yu Darvish is pitching in the playoffs. Oh, shit.
He's gonna suck. They lost.
Yeah,
and it's like that's not the kind of player you have on the mound. Yu Darvish is an incredible player, and in that game particularly, it felt like he was just trying to do too much. He wasn't going with his stuff, and as he's getting a little bit older, I feel like he's starting to figure that out a little bit more. And it's so difficult for a guy like that who has like 12 pitches in his arsenal, maybe 15 pitches in his arsenal, to just kind of simple it down to like 2 or 3 pitches. Like the most effective pitchers, look at Edwin Diaz this year. They just work fastball slider. Like that's all you really need to be effective in the in the MLB. And yeah, it just took Darvish a little bit of time to figure that out, but he's not going to be able to come back from that one start. Just one start where he wasn't fully locked in, and that's just how it is in the postseason. It's the beauty of the game.
Yeah, I mean, as you're talking about simpling it down, moving on, we got the Braves versus the Phillies, but last game. First of all, I just want to put this out there. Fuck you, Rhys Hoskins. Just want to put that out there. But anyway, Zach Wheeler is the definition of simple. The dude threw 2 pitches the entirety of the first 5 innings, and the Braves could not touch him. They knew what was coming, and they could not touch it. And you know what? It's really fun to watch the difference between regular season baseball and playoff baseball. And that's why people trying to get into baseball, I think you really got to sit down and watch a playoff game if you want to see fantastic baseball played. Because it's so much of mind games. I'm talking about Darvish simpling it down, Wheeler simpling it down. They're going to come out and they're going to dominate you the first half of the game with 2 pitches, and then they're going to put in 2 more, and they're going to use those 2, and you're going to have to figure those out now. And it's just great to see what these guys can do and what they do, especially guys like Zach Wheeler, this is his first postseason, and he pitched phenomenal. He shouldn't have allowed a run. And if you watch the game, you know that. But anyway, moving on, got to do that in baseball. That was a little Philly bias in me. Forgive me. But moving on, we got Game 3 today. This is a very interesting game.
I feel like we got to have to stick on the Rhys Hoskins thing for a minute there, because that is something that it's not getting talked about enough, in my opinion. That probably turned the tide of this series. This game was 0-0, and Rhys Hoskins, with 2 outs, had a routine ground ball hit to him and didn't make the play. How do you recover from that? And this is a guy who's probably the worst defender in baseball, period.
He is.
And what do the Phillies do with that? Like today, does he play today? I haven't taken a look at the lineup. So
yes, this is the thing with the Phillies that I do not understand. Thompson said the lineup is staying the same. He said we are going with the same lineup. Pat Schwarber's leading off, Rhys Hoskins sitting second. And you know what? My biggest takeaway from that whole error was Zach Wheeler after this game said it was his fault. Said it's my fault. I shouldn't have put the pitch in that place. And if I threw the pitch where I wanted it, that wouldn't have happened. You know what? That's what you're supposed to say as a pitcher, I guess. That's what you say as a good teammate. Rhys Hoskins said, I make that play usually. What are you doing? What are you, I feel like the best way in sports is to just own up to it. And you know what? Especially in Philadelphia sports with a guy like Alec Boehm is a prime example. I mean, he said, I fucking hate this place. He literally came out, it's two different situations, obviously. He said, I fucked up.
They're fairly similar, in my opinion, the two situations. It's just how you handle yourself. And that's what Philly cares about more. Like the product on the field, that's one thing. But the way that you handle yourself as a person and as a player, that is a little bit different. And for a fan base that's so tapped in and is so passionate and looks at the media and is so in tune with that, you can't get away with stuff like that. And I don't know that Rhys Hoskins really has a future in Philadelphia because this has been a long time that he's been like the worst defender in baseball. And it was at first it was play him in left field. Maybe he can be a fine outfielder. He was terrible. Now he'll be the best first baseman in baseball once he goes to first base. And he's still absolutely terrible. So is his bat really worth the troubles that he brings on that side? And that's what they're going to have to ask themselves. And that might end up costing them the series. Like that one play that, and we've heard it all year with the Phillies and their bad defense, that one play might have cost them their entire postseason run.
The way I look at it is, especially if they lose this series, he is gone. 100%. I think he's gone either way. They can win the World Series, and I think Rhys Hoskins is gone. But if they especially lose this, Hoskins is out. Like that is the first thing they do, and it's not even from like. It's just happened too many times. It's not like Bill Buckner, for example, who was a pretty good defender, and that was a horrible play. Ended up costing him the series, blah blah blah. But Rhys Hoskins sucks at first base. Like he's a terrible defender, and he should be a DH. And the problem with Philadelphia is they have 4 designated hitters on their roster right now. And if you want to throw in Alec Boehm from the regular season, I guess, but he's looked pretty damn good in the postseason so far. But I don't know. They have a lot of things to figure out, even though they're in the playoffs. But you gotta move on. That's basically what you got to do. And you know what? At home, first time in 11 years. Is there a better way to move on? In front of your home crowd. Aaron Nola on the mound, and I don't want to talk about the Phillies right now. I want to talk about the Braves, the way they're handling this game. Spencer Strider is pitching. They announced that.
I don't understand.
He's pitching 2 to 3 innings.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And you know what? This shows me. This is the thing that shows me. This is hurting them more than helping them. First of all, this obviously shows he's not healthy enough. And what the fuck are you doing? Second of all, this shows that you don't trust Charlie Morton, who. This is another weird situation. He had a bad year this year, and they went out and they paid him $20 million in an extension. But what are you doing? And you don't trust him to make a postseason start, especially when Strider is obviously not healthy. What are they going to do? Are they going to go Strider 2-3 innings, and they're going to put Charlie Morton in and figure it out from there?
For Game 4.
This is a terrible call by the Braves. I'm just putting that out there right now. You can't do that.
Morton's a guy that has historically been great in the postseason, much better in the postseason. And this Game 3 is the biggest game of this series. Game 3 in most series is the biggest game. And you're putting a guy that's an unknown quantity on the mound. You're putting a rookie who is hurt, coming back from an injury, and hasn't pitched since, September 15th? Or I think it was earlier than that.
It's like a month.
It's been well over a month since he's pitched. And you're just going to throw him out there in the most pivotal game in of the year. I like Spencer Strider as much as the next guy, but that is an almost impossible situation to put anybody in. I don't care if you're putting fucking Clayton Kershaw in this situation. A guy should not have to make his first start back from a really, horrible injury. Not horrible, but, you know what I mean? You can't really come back from that quickly and without a rehab or any kind of experience or appearance ever. I feel like it would have been much better. If you want him for 2 to 3 innings, keep him in the bullpen. Make him 2-3 innings out of the bullpen. For if Morton fucks up or something. I don't feel like this is the right way to do this because you could really just lose yourself the series in the first inning here. If Strider doesn't look great, which who knows, we haven't seen him in a month, you could just lose your game right off the bat. So I don't trust that. Maybe it works out great. Maybe he comes back and he's just as good as he was before, but it's an unknown quantity. When you're going into the playoffs, You want to eliminate the unknowns. Keep it as simple as you can. And they're not doing that.
And the other thing is too, like I feel like, I mean, it's pretty obvious the Braves are doing this to keep the Phillies guessing, I guess you could say, but the Phillies know he's hurt.
Yeah,
and
they
know they're gonna have to deal with him for 3 innings.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're gonna have to do. Sorry, go ahead, but that was my point.
This has kind of been like rumored for a few days now. Like everybody knew it was either going to be Morton or Strider. Like you're not keeping people guessing. It's either Morton today or Strider today or Morton tomorrow or Strider tomorrow. Like it's not like that different of a situation. I understand it's all mental games in the playoffs. Everybody's trying to keep people on their toes and not in their rhythm. But I don't think this does enough to throw people off. If anything, it's throwing the Braves off more than anybody else because to me, I feel like they were indecisive about it as well, instead of just trying to hide it. From what I could see, it felt like they were indecisive. They did not know if they wanted Strider on the mound or not. It was really debating off what happened in Game 2. And you don't want to base what happens in Game 3 off of Game 2 because then you're trying to make adjustments at a time of the year that you shouldn't be trying to make adjustments.
I mean, it's weird to see this happen in the regular season, but in the postseason, on the road, in literally top 3 hostile environment in baseball probably right now. I don't know. This is a terrible move by the Braves, which is an organization who usually knows how to make the right move, which just makes it a lot weirder in my mind. But, I'm really excited for this game. We have 3 really, really good games today. And I think it's time to give our picks. So we got the Braves versus the Phillies with Spencer Strider and Nola. We have LA versus San Diego with Joe Musgrove, and I don't know who's pitching that game actually for the Dodgers.
That's today? I thought that was tomorrow.
Yes, it's today at 8:30.
Damn,
sorry.
No break between. I mean, I guess it is just LA to San Diego, but
yeah,
still,
it's like
a break. That's fun. Hey, I'm not complaining. 3 games.
Oh, Gosling. Wait, I thought. I guess I was wrong. It's Tony Gosling versus Blake Snell. I thought Musgrove was pitching today.
Musgrove. Okay. I thought I was tripping here. Musgrove pitched the last game.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Did he pitch last game?
Or he pitched? Or what was the game with the ears? Whatever game with the ears.
That was the Mets game. That was the Mets game, but the series is tied 1-1. Darvish pitched the last game.
Yeah,
that's why I'm a little confused.
But then it's been three.
It was it was Musgrove. Mike Clemenger started game 1 against the Dodgers, and then it was Darvish. So they're going Blake Snell, and then the PB Musgrove game. So
yeah, they're gonna lose this game if Blake Snell's starting. That's all I can say. If Blake Snell is starting this game, they're gonna lose.
Tony Gosling's 16-1, which doesn't really matter, but that's so damn impressive. And he has 2.14 ERA. So I'm going Dodgers in this game. You said you're picking the Dodgers too.
Yep.
So then we have
Blake Snell.
Yeah, that was a terrible trade. They gave up so much for him. But anyway. Wait, sorry, just off topic real quick with Blake Snell. We were talking about this yesterday with that one Instagram account where it's like the MLB fits. Blake Snell, you do not know how to dress, man. Like
I did not want to bring that up, man. I was thinking about that. I did not want to bring
Like what was he wearing? Was it
it was a Givenchy shirt with a Louis Vuitton backpack and then some other designer pants and then a designer hat. Like bro just went to the most expensive store he could and was like, yo, I make so much money. Give me all the designer in this bitch. And then he just threw it on himself. It looked so corny. I could not. I'm sorry, Blake Snell. I don't hate you or anything, but bro can't dress.
It looks so bad. And that's why they're gonna lose today. Anyway, then we have the Yankees versus the I almost said Indians, the Guardians. And it is Shane Bieber versus Nestor Cortez, and we already said we both think Shane Bieber is going to outduel them.
You saw they did that on live TV. It wasn't the Guardians.
Yes.
It was the Commanders, and they called them the Redskins on live TV. And
someone's going to lose their job.
Brutal. That's got to be brutal to
do. Yeah. It's kind of funny though because like I remember there's been like so many times throughout, especially baseball because there's so many more games, but where you'll see the announcers say Indians and they'll get so like scared first. They're not scared, but they're like, I'm in Guardians. And like it's just like funny because it's not even you just forget. It's just been the Indians your whole life. It's gonna take a little while. Anyway, and now we have the Phillies versus the Braves, and I'm not even. I think Aaron Nola is gonna dominate this game, and the way that the Braves are handling this game, I think they're setting themselves up for disaster. So I'm gonna go Phillies. Take this one. So I'm going Phillies, Cleveland, and LA. Those are my 3 picks.
I've got LA, I have Cleveland, and I always hate picking Philadelphia sports because they're my team, and like it makes it even worse when you get it wrong and you lose. So I don't know. Sometimes I feel like, should I just pick against them so I'm either happy or I'm right? But I feel like I gotta trust my gut on this one and who the better team is and who I think is going to win this game. And I feel like the Phillies are the better team. I think they've got the better pitcher on the mound. I think they've got the better bullpen right now. I think they've got the lineups are fairly similar from how they've been producing so far throughout the postseason. So Philadelphia, the first game back in the postseason in Philadelphia, they got Shane Victorino throwing out the first pitch, your best pitcher on the mound. This is the kind of game. If Philly's ever going to win a playoff game, it's this one. So
yes, it's time. It's time to see those red rally towels and people screaming Aaron Nola's name. So anyway, I'm very excited for this. Chase, you have anything else to put into this right now? Any more takes? Well, guys, thank you so much. It was a great episode. Thank you for being here again. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at CCSN Sports, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, guys.